Hello, hello, and welcome to Tuesday's interview series. I'm Leona with Empowering Wellness, and I just wanted to take a moment to pause and connect before I brought our guest Sean on, because if you're like me, we have been frantically getting busy, packing, getting supplies, preparing ourselves for this massive storm that is hitting Florida. So I just want to take a moment and pause and connect and ground and connect, ground ourselves to Mother Earth, know that she is here to divinely guide us, protect us, and be there for us, and know that we are there for us. So if we put our breath and our intention and our connection, our heart space from creator, from source energy through all of us, and we just take a moment to pause and connect, ground, and send healing, light and love, protection and energy for all that are in the path of this massive storm. My heart, creator's energy, all the light and love that we can harness together as a collective can truly make a difference. I believe in the ripple effect. So if we take a moment to pause, breathe, ground and connect ourselves, and we can create that ripple effect of that energy around us. So before I brought Sean on, I just wanted to take a moment to ground and connect with all of you. Maybe doing a couple life breaths, taking a nice deep inhale, bringing any of that energy and the excess stress that is happening right now in for that count of 4. We're going to hold it at the top for that count of 4. Bring anything else in that's no longer serving. Exhale and release it out for that count of 4 so that you can completely release, empty everything that's not serving you. At the bottom, hold for that count of 4 and allow yourself just to completely empty into the stillness. Now let's do that 2 more times. Big life breath in, bringing any of the energy and stress and anxiety that is no longer serving us into our body. Hold it at the top for that count of 4, and then slowly allow that breath to exhale out for that count of 4. Once you get to the bottom of that 4, hold for that count of 4. Completely empty and release and surrender into the moment. Allow yourself some inner peace and time for you. And the third breath in as a collective, let's now harness in creator's energy, source energy, love and light, and bring it into our heart space and fill it up and hold it for a count of 4. And bring that love and light energy. And as you exhale, shining out to all that need a little moment to pause and breathe and connect. And then at the bottom of that 4, hold and let it dissipate into your body, into anybody that needs it. And then just start slowly regulating your breath. I know for all of us right now, it is a time to not forget to ground and connect and to bring our source light energy from creator in and be able to create that ripple effect out. So I just wanted a moment to pause and connect. And I'm so excited about bringing Sean on tonight to be able to be interviewed. So Sean is one of my amazing new friends that I have met through Genius Unlocked. And I'm so excited to have him join us live tonight to get to know him beyond the bio. So, I've started my new 6-week series, and I'm so excited to continue. I took a moment of packing to evacuate tonight in order to honor my time and his time that we've committed to this, because I think it's important that we get to share our stories and what we do and who we are and what we're sharing in the collective. So I just wanted to make sure that I still honored my time frame of these 6 weeks. I do have that break for the Genius Unlock, the third week, or the third section of our Activate for those 6 days. And I'm so excited to be learning more of our root cause coaching and our quantum energy releasing. And Sean is one of the amazing new friends that I've met in this amazing program. So thank you, Genius Unlocked, for connecting me to these amazing practitioners that are very heart focused and heart centered, which I really love. And I'm so excited to be able to bring Sean on tonight in order to have him be here and connect with all of us. So, Sean is a dynamic force in the world of transformation and healing, driven by his deep passion for empowering others to live their best lives. As a published author, poet, successful entrepreneur, and licensed counselor and coach, Sean brings 12 years of experience to his work, guiding individuals, couples, families, and teams to achieve lasting change. His holistic approach, which he calls the Triumvirate of Vitality, focused on health, relationships, and money, encompasses mind, body, and spirit. Sean's expertise spans a range of powerful modalities, including neurolinguistic programming, somatic release, breathwork, and root cause coaching, all seamlessly integrated into his transformational counseling and breakthrough coaching practices. Sean has a degree in psychology from the University of Regina and certifications and various healing methods. Sean's mission is to help people break free from mental and emotional barriers, reclaim their health, and live in alignment with their highest potential. Whether leading drum circles, coaching executives, or supporting youth, his work is infused with joy, love, and a commitment to growth. Sean envisions a world where love, freedom, and empowerment are at the core of every person's life, where families thrive and where communities embrace the abundance and possibilities around them. His values are rooted in empathy, compassion, and the belief that we all deserve to live authentically with clarity and purpose. So I'm so excited to be bringing Sean on today. I'm looking at my viewers to see where he is, to make sure he is clicking the button to join. Make sure you say, bring me on camera, so that you can be brought on camera for tonight. And like I said, I have just been so excited to be able to find all these heart-centered and empowered other coachings and healers. And, it's great because we're getting this opportunity to really be able to work with each other, be able to co-create, do retreats together, do trades, learn about each other. It's been so fun being able to have these connections with everybody. So welcome, Sean, one of my amazing new connections from Genius Unlocked, as we are joined here this evening. For us in Florida, I took a moment for us to ground and connect and breathe and pause, because a lot of us, like myself, are in the midst of packing for evacuation. So we're just sending out a lot of light and love and healing protections and prayers for everybody in the path of this storm. But I wanted to honor our commitment and our experience here today so that people could get to know you beyond the bio. So I just did the introduction, Sean. So welcome. How are you this evening?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, no, I'm doing great. And thank you for the interview and for the intro and the opportunity to talk and share. And, love and prayers to you and your family and everyone else that's going through this tumultuous time with the storms. Hopefully they end quickly and quietly and without further stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, we're sending all of our love and light and healing protection from Source Energy and Creator to you all. And our thoughts and prayers are with everybody for safe travels. So, in the time of crisis like this, it's actually kind of, appropriate that we're talking, because we're all talking about how to up level, how to create peace in people's life, how to create, peace in the midst of the chaos. And that's what us as coaches or healers actually
Mhm.
do, and kind of thrive in this energy. So, I didn't want to cancel this because I wanted to honor this and actually kind of talk a little bit about this in our session. So
For sure.
how do you see, like, what would be some advice that you could give people that are in the midst of this packing and evacuating and trying to find safety? For me, I always tell people, like, ground connect, don't forget to breathe.
Mm.
It's a very important tool, just to like take a couple minutes. I always tell people it just takes 2 minutes of deep breathing to start regulating your nervous system and changing your state of being. So my big tip for everybody is to breathe. What about you?
Much the same. I often teach a 5 by 5 by 5 breathing technique, very much to like the life breath technique. The only difference is it's a count of five
Five
instead
instead
of
of
four.
four. Yeah.
Um, I I think the only thing I could add to what you've already shared is just, for those of you using breathing, make sure you're breathing in your tummy and not in your chest. A lot of people don't teach that. And it's like when you breathe in your chest, you actually signal your body for more adrenaline. So you don't calm down as much. But I think at a time like this, breathing is important. And I think the underlying caveat being we need to not panic. We need to not we're going to have a lot of emotions going on. There's going to be a lot of heightened stuff. There's going to be, a lot of stressors, and just focused on the next thing and breathe. Take that moment to just focus yourself, even if you have to do it over and over. Don't look too far ahead, because a lot of times, we can be worried about, well, what if this, what if this, what if that, and we can what if ourselves to death.
Yeah.
And really, if we just focus on, okay, I just need to get this into the
Yeah.
car. I just need to get this, get in the car and get to this next place, and just focus on that next step. Um, and yeah, my prayers and love are going out to everybody that's going through
Yes.
this.
It's a good point, right? Like, for us today, it's like, okay, what medications, what supplements, what, clothes, what paperwork, like just get those things in the bag into the car, pack what you can now. If you're leaving in the morning, get everything but the last minute stuff like in it, like just the very next step. So it seems a lot more manageable
Mhm.
versus trying to take it on at the same time. That's amazing. So all that are watching, if you're watching live, put hashtag live in the comments, or if you're watching a replay, put hashtag replay in it. And remembering, we'll be putting Sean's websites and contact information, all of his offerings into the comments for his coachings, and everything that's going to be coming up, you can find in the comments in here. So tell us, Sean, a little bit about how you got into coaching and where you are today, because I read your bio. It's an impressive bio. So tell us something that's not in there. Like, what are the things that like lit you up or got you to where you are in order to be this transformational healing coach that you are today?
That is a that's an interesting topic. Um, no, it's not. Well, I mean, the bio really just covers the highlights of kind of the accomplishments. But I mean, the journey has not always been smooth. It's not like it was, um, easy all the time. It had its moments. Um, Ever since I was a kid, I was always the one that people turned to talk about their problems, for better or worse. It was just always that way. And I remember when I first went to university, I actually went to become a writer. I wanted to be the next Tolkien. I wanted to write, fantasy novels. And then I made the, for better or worse, choice to take a Psych 100 class. And as I like to say, the rest is history. I just kind of fell into it. But I've had a long journey, and I've worked with. I spent a lot of years working with youth in gangs who were incarcerated, and helping them to work towards freedom from that, freedom from addictions, and just that violent, aggressive kind of mentality. A lot of trauma. I have an extensive background in trauma, and really rewarding industry, or area of practice. And unfortunately, it's not so much, and it's hard to get those breakthroughs. It's hard to make change. Now, as I you probably remember from our class with Genius Unlocked, I did mention that I think anyone wanting to go into mental health, counseling or psychotherapy or psychology, should really take this coaching first. Honestly, I wish I would have had a program like this available to me before I started, because I honestly believe I would have made a far greater difference in the lives those I've worked with. Now, that said, um, I've worked with a lot of people, I've worked with couples, I've worked with primarily youth in the beginning of my career, and adults towards, no, not the end, but where we're at now, I guess, you know. Um, and it's definitely been a journey. I've learned a lot. As much as school taught me, I would say, as the, I don't know if the statistic is right, but as the saying goes, everybody learns 60% of the job on the job.
Yeah.
And there
Life
was,
taught you and
right,
education taught you, right? Like
right, yeah.
life
I
is
mean,
great life
yes, the
lessons
education definitely gave me a
there.
foundation, but I learned how to work with people, working with people.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, I've seen how the mental health industry, bless its heart for all the work that it's done. Unfortunately, my experience has been the really good counselors or therapists are few and far between. We have a mass of people out there who want to help, and that's beautiful. But we have a system. I used to believe that the mental health system was working toward eliminating mental health. And now I'm kind of at a place where I'm looking at it, not only having been in it, but also, stepping back. And I think it's gone the same way as our health system. It's very symptoms based. It's how do we band-aid this? How do we band-aid that? I hear a lot about, and I've worked with, the brief therapies. How do we get them in and get them out in 3 to 5 sessions?
Right.
And
Which is interesting because you're in Canada and we're here in the States.
Mhm.
I'm here in Florida, and you're even seeing that even in
Oh
Canada,
yeah,
which is interesting.
oh yeah, yeah.
Because
It's
I call it the sick care system, not the healthcare system, because they want to keep us sick in order to just keep making money because it's a
yes,
business. That's their
true.
business model,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and
So,
I think one of the other things that I ascribe to is that we need to move away from a healthcare system, or as you call it, but we need to move towards a self-care system. We need to start taking responsibility for our own health, our own mental health, and unfortunately, a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily covered by insurances, and it's not necessarily looked upon as, oh, we're going to support you. And I think part of it underlying is that because it's actually going to get the
yeah.
results. And that's part of the reason why I changed my presentation of what I do from counseling and coaching to
And then we can't get these
transformational.
little things so much, right? Because then they're
Right?
dependent on all the other stuff and all the business behind that, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, there's
yeah,
the system. So I like that there's coaches and healers like us that are trying to break that matrix and that system and create a new system that's actually part of self-care and wellness and healing, and it's and more
yep,
encompassing. I mean, that's literally why I picked the name Empowering
yep,
Wellness for my business. It's like I want to empower them and their health and wellness is spiritual, physical, mental, emotional. It's all aspects in all
yep,
areas of life. So
yeah,
that's such a
exactly.
good point, and it's interesting that you're even seeing it there and here, right? So we're all sort of in that same system and matrix, but thank
For
goodness for
sure.
all of us that we're breaking it and we're actually getting to the root cause, hence why we're getting certified in root cause coaching,
Yep,
as we're getting to the root of it, being able to help people from the inside, really the deep essence, core values, the deep root systems, in order to be able to empower them to create those aligned action steps going forward. So I love
mhm.
that. So tell me, when you're not transforming people's lives in the coaching world, what do you like to do for fun? What are some of your hobbies and things that you like to do?
Well, my first and foremost thing that I love to do is spend time with my kids. Um, and that usually entails whatever they want to do for the most part. Um, when I'm not, when I'm not hanging out with them, I do have, I've been lacking as of late because I've been busy with other things, but I enjoy creative writing. I like to write poetry, and when I have time, stories. I also have a lot of ideas for nonfiction work that I kind of dabble here and there. I make ideas, and I try to work on when I can. I haven't had or taken the time to really sit down and carve out things from start to finish, but one day I
I
will.
love
Um,
that. So are we gonna get another book from you then soon?
I hope so.
Ish?
I hope so. Um,
Soonish?
right. Uh, maybe I'll do one on transformation because that seems to be the theme, right? And then I also enjoy martial arts and being physical, getting outside. Oh,
Is it
you know,
really
honestly,
cold where you were in Canada, like all the
it's
time? Like, do you get outside and like go hiking and that kind of stuff a lot?
oh for sure. No,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
honestly, it's what is it? I think it was 20 degrees here today, or 20 Celsius. So what would that be? I don't know what the translation is into. Well, it's 68 Fahrenheit. That's what it
Hmm.
is. So I mean, our weather up here is where I'm at is pretty much the same as what Montana gets.
Okay.
So
So
we
that's cold
have,
for us Florida
yeah,
people.
like we get summers that are in the 30s and 40s, and we get winters that are in the minus 50s. So we got the full spectrum.
And what
Um,
part of Canada are you coming in from?
I am in a city called North Battleford in Saskatchewan, which is north of a city called Saskatoon, in the province of Saskatchewan, which is literally right above Montana.
Ah,
So
okay. Well, there we go. Um, so tell me about your family and your family dynamic. How has your kids shaped you, influenced you, had a part in your business, your own transformation? Like, tell us a little bit of your family dynamic. I always like to have people share a little bit about their families and how that plays into their roles that they're doing in the world now.
for sure, for sure. Well, um, where to start? Uh, the first I was coming, I was born. That might be a little too far back.
Yeah,
Um, Both my parents are still together. They've been married for almost 50 years.
that's
Um,
amazing. Congrats, parents.
Thanks. And unfortunately, my marriage did not stand the test of time. We actually separated a couple years back. Um, Not my choice. I would have preferred to do the work and make the changes, but things are as they are, and everybody has their own role in things, right?
Yep.
But what has occurred is I've had a increased awareness, not that I wasn't aware before, but an increased awareness of the importance of how we parent our kids. Some of the what I would venture to say are toxic trends in parenting today, also in the education system in terms of how we're teaching our kids and the things we're teaching our kids, at the ages we're teaching our kids. So I've become a lot more aware of stuff like that, the impact of a broken home and what damage that does to the kids and how they struggle with that. I think that's probably been the hardest part for me is seeing what my kids have had to go through because of this. It's been definitely an uphill journey to try and, process my own things through that as well as be there to support them. Um, at the end of the day, they're my they're my motivating factor in a lot of ways, as to why I'm building this business. Part of it is I want to help others to maybe not get divorced, help others to parent their kids in the best ways possible. And at the end of the day, even before that, I want to build a successful business of my own so that I can make my own schedule and have that time to be with my kids.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you
a
know,
legacy for them, right? Like a
yeah,
legacy, something to fall on. And I think, like you said, these life lessons that you're getting is another learning and tools that you're able to harness to then be able to give back for your clients, that might be
yes,
going through simple things. Now you've
yeah.
got this whole empathy and new learnings and new tools and seeing what worked and what didn't, and like being able to help process people through that. So that's unfortunate and an amazing thing that you've taken this and it's helping you motivate and be able to hopefully motivate others in that direction. As we know, even though it's an away from, it's still motivation and movement and energy and going in the right direction. So that's amazing.
Well, I think in the
Um,
in the grand scheme of things, when I look over all of the things I've been through in the last number of years, in the beginning it was really hard to see any kind of, as my one friend would joke, The light at the end of the tunnel has been temporarily turned off due to economic restraints. Um, so it felt pretty dark, but with the support and help and love of family and friends, and making the effort myself, I was able to move through a lot of stuff, and now I'm starting to see I don't know if I call it the silver lining, but I think we make of our situations what we choose to. We can
Right.
choose to make
It's
them
choice.
bad, or we can choose to make them good or better, or however you want to look at that. And I'm coming into that space where it's like, all right, it is what it is. I'm going to make the best of it. And that, I think, is where our power lies, in not allowing life circumstance to um hold us back from sharing our gifts and purposes and callings with the world. That doesn't mean that there aren't times that it sucks. I'm totally, am behind that. I mean, there are times when it's hard, and you just need somebody to hold your hand, and you're not going to make steps forward, right? You just need somebody to hold you in place so you don't slip back into the darkness. But then there comes a point where it's like, all right, we need to start taking a step forward, or half a step forward, or shuffle the feet forward, because there's so much more to life than what we perceive right now in the moment, right?
So So true, so true. And it really is, right? Like it's our choice to choose to take these and grow and to expand and ask for help and get support. And like, if we just need someone to hold space for us and or hold energetic, give us a hug, whatever. Also empowering people to know that they can ask for that and it's okay and that they can
Yeah.
have permission for it and they can be witness in their healing and being supportive. So it's
Dare I
amazing that you've been
say,
able
dare I say,
to go ahead.
men. I think that's probably the biggest group. And I've always been a bit of a softie and a bit of an emotional guy. So, for me, reaching out for help was hard. So I can only imagine for other men out there how hard it is. A lot of times there's that, stigma that men are supposed to be the strong ones and the tough ones and just put up with everything. And, heaven forbid they have emotions. Yet men have the highest suicide rate, right? And men, I actually read a statistic today, and doesn't surprise me, but at the same time it kind of surprised me. And the statistic was basically, when everything settles, men are actually more negatively impacted by divorce than women are. Women
Wow.
tend to move on and get their shit together, I guess, and do what they got to do. And men tend to fall into depression more times than not. Men tend to be, highly emotionally impacted. And so I think for me, a big part of the work, for me, is, I think I'm drawn to working with men and helping them to find their solid ground, find their space to and place to start, rebuilding, having gone through it. So
I think that's key because, a lot of the practitioners that I talk with are female and they want to work with females, but there aren't a lot of coaches and transformational people and healers that are men. Like the guys that are taking over my practice for me when I are all men, it's like the practitioners that I work with. And it's funny because a lot of my clients won't go to them because they're men. And I'm like, no, but they're really good. And we need you divine masculine men that are helping other men to be able to level up, to tell them it's okay to feel emotions, to ask for help, to be, supported, that they don't have to be the ones are, always supporting that, the shoulds, right? Like stop shitting all over yourself and like allow for things to happen and allow people to come in and help you and, have the courage and that power to be able to ask for it. So I love that the clientele. So if you were to really like hone in, like are you trying to really reach out for men that are going through transitions in their life? Would you say like that's kind of like your clientele that you're hoping to be able to work with and bring in and ask for that type of clientele? Like who do you really want to serve in your coaching? What do those clients look like?
well, Leona, to be honest, I always get in trouble from several of my friends on this because they'll ask me, and then before I can respond, they'll look at me and they'll say, "No, you can't work with everybody." And I mean, there's a part of me that just wants to help everybody, and I know that that's um, not helpful. you get spread too thin. B, as we learn in Genius Unlocked, you start to attract the clients that you can best work with.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, Leona, I think I want to work with whoever comes to my door or whoever knocks on my digital door.
Right.
But I think in terms of a community, I really want to I really want to work with couples who are thinking about getting married, because I think there's a lot of benefit to helping people work through their stuff before they get married.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when we're looking at a
Prevention is
70,
the key, right,
right?
people? Like,
And
prevention
when
is
you get
the
a
key.
75+% divorce rate, I mean, you're better off to just take your paycheck and go gamble at the casino playing blackjack, right? So it's like I really want to make a change there. I also
I
want to
love
work
that.
with
Mm-hmm.
people who are in relationships. Now, for anybody listening, just so you know, most couples do not seek professional help until one of them has one foot out the door. Statistically,
Wow.
90+% of all of the couples that finally make it to a counselor's office, one of them has a foot out the door. And my plea with people would be, go talk to even if it's just like something small, go talk about it, because there might be other stuff that comes up, and then you can work through it, and you've got that support and deal with it before it becomes something massive.
Right.
I
Attack
had a
it at the little,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
molehill versus the mountain, right?
yeah, yeah,
Work on it. And I love the idea of like before, like that, getting that foundation, learning how each other communicate, what's important, your love languages, like do an exploratory thing with someone from the outside
yeah.
opinion that can really build that foundation so it's solid for the relationship. I love that. So I would say definitely then your niches would be like beginning of relationships, then in it to help prevent from not, and then men creating transformations in their lives that are ready to up level or get in touch or be able, that are going maybe through a transition themselves, in order to help with the transformation. Well, that's, three really great, audiences. So if you are guys listening to this and have any of these things, make sure that you comment below with your questions and contact Sean, because I know a lot of my, female coaches just want to work with females. So I love that there are couples, that you're looking for in the prevention, and, especially honing in on men and transformation,
Mhm.
which I think is huge. And are you, I know some of the guys that are in the healing space are creating like men's circles, kind of like how women have gatherings and stuff. Is there anything in the future that you could say that you're working on, something like that, creating that community and connection for men to connect with? Have you ever thought about creating a men's circle?
Definitely. I never thought about it in that language, but I know for myself, I definitely want to create a community, both online and in person, depending on what that looks like.
Yeah.
I do the health and nutrition stuff through Wild Fit Coaching. That tends to be, both men and women. So there's a community there that I want to build around, because I don't know if you've had this experience, but anytime you try to change up the way you eat or how you're doing things, and then all of a sudden nobody else around you's doing it, and you're like, well, and you feel alone, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And so,
Accountability buddies, and like
right,
having like a community connection and people that can like have a little like check-in, I think is
yeah.
huge.
And then for the
Um,
men, like I think, like there's a lot of really solid men's groups out there, and I've gone to a number of them online. I haven't gone to anything in person because there hasn't been anything local that is, so maybe that might be something I look at doing. But I really want to work on empowering men in a group like that. But I actually have a dream of doing like a men's retreat or men's retreats
yes.
where
As the
they come
retreat
out,
person, that's my passion. I love that. Yes.
right? And the men come out, and we take them through a journey through whatever they're at. And it's kind of like we talk about in Genius Unlocked. It's like, we get you to your new zero, and then you're moving to your 10, and then when you get to 10, that becomes your new zero, and then you, right. And so I want to develop retreats that it doesn't matter where you're at, you can come in, and it fits, right. And I mean, there might be like an intermediate and a beginner and an advanced. So there's, depending on where you are in your journey, one would fit more than the other. But I don't want any one person to feel like, oh, well, nobody understands, or, nobody gets it, or because there's a lot of men out there that are hurting. There's a lot of, there's a lot of mixed up views out there, and a lot of men that are hurting. And I think having solid, well, just as a stat, right? They took a look at the majority of the people, men and women, who are incarcerated in jail, and over 85% of them grew up fatherless,
Wow.
right? And that's not just
Mm-hmm.
physically fatherless, that's emotionally, mentally, disconnected fathers as well. And so fathers are hugely important. And I think we've lived in a society that has really pushed and emphasized for the importance of mothers, right? And I would never take away from that. But I think along the way, we've kind of missed out on the importance of fathers. And I think there's a lot of men out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of men who've dropped the ball. I think there's a lot of women who've dropped the ball too. We're people, we're
Mm-hmm.
imperfect, we drop the ball, right? So I think for me, just if I can, one of the areas I'm really into is called intersexual dynamics. It's actually a really fascinating area of study, and it's the dynamics between men and women and the polarity, and how men need to be men and women need to be women in order for that polarity to work. And we've seemed to have lost that somewhere along the way. So I've got some really good friends that are coaching and counseling in that space, and so I'm doing some collaborative work with them. But yeah, no, definitely do some retreats and groups, and for men and for men and women together. Maybe I would love to do a couples retreat. Maybe not
Yeah.
like the movie, although that would
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
fun.
Yes. We'll work on that. We'll work on the yin and the yang and the divine masculine and feminine. So in the future, that's what you're working on. What about now? What are some of your passion projects that you're working on now? Some of your offerings, your coachings, your programs that you have now that people can connect and tap into in the now?
For sure. Right now, I'm just launching. I've kind of rebranded myself, and so I'm just kind of growing into this idea of a transformational counselor and transformational coach. Uh, so that is obviously open to individuals, or small groups or couples or whatever. Trying to offer one-off services where I can allow, help people to go through, a release, and then if they need more down the road, we can touch base. I'm in the process of collaborating with a pastor friend of mine on a intuitive hear from God process. It's going to be a free master class on how to really connect with and hear from God's Holy Spirit, and what's your calling and purpose, and figuring that out. And then there'll be a slightly more, um, I don't know what the right word would be, because that one has a very Christian flavor to it, because I'm collaborating with him as a pastor and he wants to do something. But I'm going to have another version that's a little
More
bit more open to,
spiritual?
yeah, more open to
Mm-hmm.
whatever, religious background you may
Mm-hmm.
be in, because in this one there's a lot of scripture and biblical stuff that's in there that may not be to everyone's liking. But I'm working on that, and a 12-week coaching program to follow it for those who want to go deeper. And so
Awesome.
I'm kind of paralleling it. It's a program over here that's kind of for a very specific niche, and then there's a program over here that's going to be kind of mirrored but a little more open, um, to more of the general public. And then I'm working on self love program that is not going to be called self love, because I'm hoping to target men. And I think men who hear self love, I'm not sure the reaction is the same as when women hear, you need to love yourself,
Like, yes.
right, right.
And guys are like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm kind of playing around with how to market that, and how to, because I mean the reality is we all need to learn how
Yeah.
to love ourselves and accept
So,
ourselves,
guys
right?
listening, if you think of a phrase that would resonate with you, that would make you want to jump in and be part of that, community and connection. Put it in the comments wherever you're listening to this from, and maybe that could inspire you. You never know what people are actually needing. So I'll invite the collective to put in comments so that they can be able to
Definitely.
participate and
Definitely.
put something
Yeah.
in, see if something gets inspired. So all of these passion projects that you're working on, all these upcoming programs, you'll be able to put the links of where to find them and connect with you. Is there any other kind of contact information or things that you want to just speak out, and then we'll put the rest into the comments?
Well, at this point, my primary is just my Facebook group, which is Sean Allen Transformational Specialist. I can put the link in here. You can contact me through there on my WhatsApp to get more information. I'll be posting about the groups and stuff that I'm working on there. I've actually got another collaborative program that I'm hoping to put together with a few people from the schools, centering around education for students of right now. We're kind of looking at ages 8 to 14, building emotional
Oh,
intelligence
I
on
love
a
that.
very consistent and persistent basis
Love
that
it.
will allow them to grow in emotional intelligence, and also help to teach the teachers or the professionals or semi-professionals on how it works and why it works. And to be honest, in the work that I've done in the last couple of months with coaching, um, there's a lot of even adults who don't have the depth of emotional intelligence that I think even they would like to have.
Yeah.
And in working with them, I've been able to help them. I've been able to, open their eyes to a few things. And yeah, it's not just kids who need it. It's us adults. There's, you know, how many times do we get stuck in happy, sad, mad, angry, and then it's like
Hmm.
nothing else, right?
Right. So yeah, if we would have, learned those tools earlier, we could have maybe had a different, adult human experience now. So yes, again, prevention is the
Yep.
key, right? Get them young, get them in the beginning, build it the foundation, be able to grow from that. I love that you're reaching those younger ages and building those stepping stones and that foundation for people.
Mhm.
So we mentioned retreats earlier. Have you ever been on a retreat yourself?
Yes, I've been on several.
And how was your experience with them?
Each one was different. In They were, interestingly enough, they were all men's retreats. They were all with the same organization and group, but each one was different. And I think there is so much power in a retreat, to get away from the everyday life that's become habitual, that is, it's like, I hate to say it, but a lot of us live in a perpetual groundhog day. We get up, we make the same coffee, we eat the same food, we go to the same job, we do, and then we wonder why we're bored stiff, or why we, never can break free. We talk about dopamine addiction and being on your phone and doom scrolling and all of this stuff, right? And I think a retreat is a really powerful opportunity to disconnect from the technology, from the routines, from the expectations that you're either honest from others or that we put on ourselves. And I've actually worked with a number of people in the last month or so that have literally said, Sean, I don't know how to relax. If I'm not doing something, then then there's a problem. And I'm saying, if you can't sit and do nothing for 10 minutes without your inner critic popping in, that's the problem, right? And so, we're human beings, not human doings, right? That doesn't mean we shouldn't be active, shouldn't be, doing things. But I think we get caught up in, constantly having to perform and do and produce, that we don't realize that I think a lot of us are hinging on burnout most of the time.
Yeah. I think it's so huge that we get to have moments in that practice of being a human being, just being in the moment, in our breath and our body, having that experience. And you're right, it takes a lot of times getting out of the environment, into it, submerge it in, dunk you in, like really be able to get it, to be able to break that cycle and then give you the tools to integrate back
Yep,
into it. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite reasons about retreats as well.
for sure.
um
On
and
my
what about
experience,
mhm,
I was just going to say my experience is most often those people who can't slow down, can't stop, can't relax, it's because of trauma and fear. And if they slow down long enough, the shit catches up with them and then they don't know how to deal with it. And so for me, part of the retreats and doing these things with people is to help them break free of that. Instead of constantly having to run from, we can stop and together we can turn and face, and we can dissolve and release,
mm,
and then it's no longer chasing you,
yes.
and then you can step into a better life and all the things that it was holding you back from.
Right. You hear right now, don't chase, you attract what's meant for you. And if you don't actually pause and wait and raise your vibration and figure out what is actually an energetic match for you, you're always going to be like chasing or doing or having something come to it. So we need those moments of stillness and reflection and pause, and having someone direct us and give us the tools to be able to get to the next level of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's huge. Those are huge benefits. This is why I always ask people, like, why retreats? Because it is so powerful, whether it's virtual, in person, men's, women's, mixed, couples, whatever it is. It's just taking that time for you, actually carving it out, and like being like, okay, I'm submerging myself into this so then I can empower myself to get back into this, so this doesn't feel like this all the time.
Mhm.
It can have layers and movement, and can create a little bit more of that trusting flow, that I know a lot of us are always desiring, to trust the process and let it flow and be in alignment and like create that connectivity to it. One of my other favorite questions is save the date. Why do you think it's so important that us as practitioners and healers tell people in advance, like save the date for this or that, or like, give a list of our next events and things that are coming up? What do you think is the power of the save the date?
Well, I think I've in my younger years and in my not so younger years, I've always kind of been Mach 2 with my hair on fire. I struggled with goal setting. I struggled with, strategic planning. I was kind of like, oh, let's just do it. And I think there's power in spontaneity, but I think there's even more power in planning. As I'm sure you've heard, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so I think, especially in the world we live in, where I made a comment, and I've made lots of comments on here now, so my Facebook is probably blowing up with retreat stuff, right? The algorithms are pumping our feeds full of all of the things that we tend to rub up against or talk about. And if you see something of interest or something that moves you or something you want to do, and you sign up, having that save the date, I think is really helpful in terms of, staying organized, staying on top of, what you're doing, planning around it. I really like how there's more and more of these agencies and people who are doing things, and then they have the calendar thing. You click on it and boom, it's in your calendar. Because there wasn't too long ago, a couple of years ago, where I was signing up for stuff going, oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, wow, I got 5 things scheduled on today. And I had no idea, it's just, so I think save the date is huge. I think it's also a way of making a commitment to ourselves. It's like I am going to go to whatever it is on this date at this time for this long because this is important to me. And if it's one thing I've had to learn the hard way, uh, our brains are created through our actions.
Mhm.
And so when I say I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and exercise. And then the next day, I hit snooze till 7 o'clock, roll out of bed, go, well, I guess maybe tomorrow, have a shower and go to work. I am carving that neural pathway in my brain that I can't depend on myself. And I've had to work long and hard to break that. Right. And so I think it's important with the save the date. It's a commitment. I had one professional I listened to a number of years back said, if it goes on your calendar, it's written in stone. So don't put anything on your calendar that you're not going to commit to. And so if there's something you're interested in, and I mean, that's not to say life doesn't happen. I get that. You know, we run into situations that, hey, we're just gonna have to, you know, forego something or whatever, and that's fine. I ran into a situation where there was three different programs in the last, you know, in November that popped up on my feed. I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. Ooh, I want to, oh, can't do it because it mixes with this one. Well, now I got to choose which of the three, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was listening to another speaker, and he said we need to change this whole idea around FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. And he said that FOMO actually comes from a place of scarce and lack, or scarcity and lack. He said we should actually, and this was his encouragement. He said next time you have to turn something down or you're not able to go to something, he said learn to celebrate. And he gave the example, and I was like, okay, I don't think I could celebrate that, but good on you. He said he was invited to go hang out with Richard Branson on his acreage in Africa for a day, and he had to turn it down because he had something going on. He's like, wow, isn't this awesome? I get to turn down Richard Branson. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I could do it, but it's awesome to think that, you know what, that it is so true. We
I
get this fear
love
of
that.
missing out, but learning to just be like, hey, you know what? This is awesome. I get to
Yeah.
turn this down, right?
Right. It's an opportunity to be like, hey, actually, I've committed to this, but let me see about something else in the future, right? You can always ask for something else. Like the connection we made, with having a wait list. I love being able to have a wait list
Yep.
to be able to get people to, come in. It's okay that it doesn't happen then, but you want to make sure that you pick and choose and what I call it your sacred yes. Like know it's an alignment for you so that when you say that sacred yes, it is like a commitment, a devotion for yourself that you were doing this
Yeah.
for you because it is in your highest and best in alignment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's so true. So if we were to conclude today with one thing that you could have told your inner child self, like your little Sean, what would you have loved to have told him that you've learned now that you could have learned then that could have created a little bit more ease and grace and love and joy and these crazy world we call life here as being human beings in this 3D world?
Hmm.
I know. I give
I think,
everybody all the questions except for this one because I like it to be spontaneous.
I think if you know, if I had known what I know now, looking back, um, I think I would tell him that nobody cares. In the sense that when you're on the treadmill at the gym thinking what everybody else is looking at you for, they're on their treadmill wondering what everybody else is looking at them for. You know, not that nobody cares, but nobody's looking. They're too worried about themselves. So just be you. Be genuinely you, be unapologetically you, and just shine. You
Love it.
know, that would be
Love
my
it.
position.
So, guys, remember shine from your heart, be authentically you. Know that it is okay to ask for help and support, and prevention is the key. Start at the, counseling, education, coaching young. Start it in the beginning of the relationships. Really put the energy and the effort in. And remember, retreats are a great way to be able to have community connection, witness that healing, and remember, save the date is your sacred yes to you to be able to truly put that energy of what's for you is attracting back, and everything else will be able to flow when you make that sacred yes and that commitment to yourself. So thank you all for enjoying our conversation and joining us tonight and being a part of my new Empowering Wellness group. This truly is a platform for us to get to know people beyond the bio, see what makes people tick, what their passions are, what they get excited, who they're, creating this platforms for, so that we can be able to help each other, because I believe in the ripple effect. If we work on ourselves and healing ourselves and up leveling ourselves, then we create that ripple effect out to those around. So remember, it is okay to ask for help, to get support, reach out. If there's any way, especially for anybody up in that Canada area or men virtually that want to have community connection in a men's circle to be able to connect with, Sean is your guy. And I cannot wait to do retreats with you in the future and what kind of magic we're going to make in this world, because I believe in making and magic and co-creation, and that's what's going to help the whole collective as a whole to be able to raise that vibration and be able to heal. Because remember, it is all about you empowering your health and wellness, your spiritual journey. It takes healing into your own hands. That's so powerful, right? The bring it inwards and take that responsibility for ourselves. And the responsibility for ourselves, meaning asking for the help, get the support, get the education, get the tools that you need in order to be able to level yourself up for the next thing. Any final thoughts that you want to leave the collective for today before we conclude, sir?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all.
Yes,
And
awesome.
we could talk
I
forever,
know.
so I'll
We'll let
step back
everybody
or
go.
we'll keep going.
Yes. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. From my heart to yours, let there be peace, light, and love for all that are going through the storm and all that are going through your own life storm, whether it's not the path of this. Know that take a moment, pause, reset, breathe, connect with yourself, ask your higher self, what are the next aligned action steps? Let them be small and meaningful into the next thing. Try not to get overwhelmed for the whole picture. Sometimes we just need one foot in front of the other. So peace, light, and love to all. Namaste.
Namaste.